I just shifted over to my own thing and I surprised myself. So today we have a little surprise here. Initially, I was just going to have a recap of the Illustrator World Series that I just returned from. Met a bunch of cool people. As you may know from watching the Twitch, which was a little bit of a hurdle. We had a lot of growing pains this year. We had a good time. I was super excited. In case you missed the explanation of it, Illustrator World Series is like a head-to-head competition that they're growing for illustrators around the world. I was invited. I was very flattered and shocked. I bribed the right people. That's not true. Um, and through all of this preparation and all of this hubbub, I went out there and I'm very proud of myself. I got knocked out in the very first round, and sadly became pretty good friends with the asshole that did it. And that asshole is actually here with us today. His name's Keo. We're gonna shift over to be able to see him now. This is Keo. Your screen went away. Why did your screen
Hi.
go away? Oh fuck me! Why did your screen go away?
Oh no.
What did I do now? Oh, there it is. All right, great. It's back. Awesome.
Hi.
Anyway, this is
I'm the
Keo.
asshole.
um, the topic that we were given, we were given a little bit ahead of time to figure out. It was something to do with the U.S. Capitol riots. You know, the invasion that the fucking weird people had, and the guy claimed press. Yeah, and you and I drew live for about an hour, and after the
Indeed.
judges' scorecards came through, you won. Let's talk about it. But
It was
first,
close.
who were you?
1 point.
1 point. It was 1 point off. 1 point off. Sadly, that point was skill related. You whooped my ass, Keo. Um,
No.
so anyway, for those who don't know who are you? Tell us.
Oh, I guess I'm a male, 35 years of age. Um, Currently living in London. Don't know how I managed that, but yeah,
That's
got
pretty
myself a
impressive.
visa here. Yeah, I'm a illustrator, animator, graph, whatever guy.
Yeah.
Um, and currently, or these days, mostly focused on trying to make AR artworks and that sort of
Ooh.
thing. So augmented reality
I
artworks.
you mentioned that the other day.
Yeah,
I'll come back and ask you a lot about that here in a moment. How did
cool.
you get involved in the IWS?
IWS was kind of funny. It was so I have a lot of friends that seem to cross circles with IWS in a lot of ways. But actually, the way it worked was Tony Riff, one of the other competitors.
Mhm.
Um, I'd liked his work for quite a while, and I was retooling, retraining in 3D, like creating 3D
Mhm.
scenes and artwork and that kind of thing, trying to incorporate that into my AR work. And as a way of doing that, I started to think, oh, well, I can also try and make friends during a pandemic where I'm not able to go out and
All right.
meet people in this new city that I've moved to, and particularly people that I aspire to work with or at least be on this deemed to be in the same conversation as. And I saw one of Tony's works. He had like a pot plant with some flowers coming out of it and a stick of dynamite, and I loved it. So I was like, I love his stuff. This might be an easy way to just throw it out there that, hey, would you mind if I had a crack at trying to turn that into 3D?
Right.
Yeah, and then from there, Mark must have asked Tony about uh, people that could make NFTs and that side of things. And I don't know, I haven't actually made any NFTs, but Mark then contacted me, and then we got to chatting. Chatted about everything under the sun from
Yeah.
the illustration game, the crypto, and all the rest. And then um, he obviously saw that I knew how to draw and knew how to do all my other stuff. So he
Yeah.
invited me to choose as to whether I wanted to do classic or digital
Oh.
at the thing. And I was like, well, I'm doing all this digital stuff at the moment. I could
Right.
definitely give that a crack. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And then, frankly, I forgot about it for a while. And then all of a sudden it was happening.
Yeah.
It was on, like, it was like 2 weeks. And I was like, whoa, holy crap.
It
So,
creeps up on you pretty quick. I know that I had made a tentative plan, and I had discussed it with my girl, and we had planned things out, and then all of a sudden it was like 4 days away, and I panic attack, like, oh shit, I gotta do stuff. I gotta show up. I gotta actually do things.
yeah.
But
Yeah, that's pretty much live painting for you.
it really is. It
especially,
really is. I'm learning a lot more
especially
about it
when
as we
you
go.
especially when you get into realizing just how like IWS was organized, but you can find that you've like forgotten to ask certain questions like about the programs or
Yeah.
about lead up. It's like, oh, where am I supposed to be at what times? And
Oh,
it's always best to obviously
where's
ask
my
those
tablet?
questions as early as possible before people get too busy and annoyed at you that you haven't been reading enough of the emails or
Hmm.
going deep. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, but that is I think overall for everybody that was involved in particularly the digital side, we all did really well. Like that was a hard comp. So
Yeah. Yeah. That was We're gonna be posting a lot of stuff later regarding an actual breakdown. I have a Dropbox out that I hope people will contribute to, so we can all consolidate a bunch of feedback or footage. Not all of us were blessed enough to have people documenting for us because we are artsy types and we don't tend to do that. You had mentioned being new to London. Feel free to start
yeah.
drawing. By the way, you can
Oh yeah.
noodle if you want.
I just noticed that there was a bunch of stuff down below.
I just realized I didn't want to, quite intrude too far on your side. You had said that you were new to London.
Yeah.
Where did you come from? I mean, I have my guesses and inside knowledge here, but two,
Mm-hmm.
this isn't a lead into a Cotton Eye Joe lyric, I promise. Kind of. Um, what? So what brought you to London, and where did you guys come from? I believe you said you were from Australia, right?
Yeah. So we moved. My wife and I moved over August of last year. Uh, We had come over here. So my wife got a job, a pretty special job here in London, and yeah, basically we'd come over in the February just before I think worldwide everybody kind of properly started to know what was the case with the whole lockdown
Mm,
stuff.
yeah.
So yeah, like we came over in February, checked it out a little bit. I got into you know catching up with some friends here, finding out whether it was going to be the place for us type of vibes,
Mm.
or place for me anyway. If I'm going to leave all my work behind and
True.
everything like that, I wanted to make sure that there was kind of at least some kind of opportunities moving forward.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Um, Yeah, and then going forward, yeah, basically she got the job, and then it was all kind of about packing up and heading over. We
Mm.
got here in August. Unfortunately, life had gotten very complicated with the COVID thing.
Yeah.
Um, so my great plans of coming over here and then traveling over to Europe and painting 11-story walls and being in every country I could possibly be in and
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
everything I could possibly do kind of well hasn't dry it hasn't disappeared, but it's definitely been kind of put on hold for a little while at
Right.
least. So um yeah, and then I guess what else, I like this shape here. Nice.
Okay. So
Um,
so you do a lot of you like doing mural work. I saw
yeah,
that you mentioned NFTs, which are non fungible tokens, right? Um,
yeah. Well, I don't actually do those yet. I've been told
hmm,
it seems like there's a lot of people that want me to do them.
yeah.
I think probably because I do animation a fair bit, and people want to, access my AR stuff without having to actually buy maybe tangible products
Hmm,
off me, which is,
true.
I don't know.
It's a
I don't
brave
know
new
if it's a
world.
good thing or a bad thing, but
It's a brave new world for sure.
yeah. So yeah, so like I don't have a big history. Like I said, don't have a big history with NFTs, but
Okay, but
um,
but you do with AR. Uh,
I do a bit with AR.
can
So
you?
AR is kind of
Yeah, can
the
you
thing that I've
explain
been
it?
focusing on for about main focus the last 3 years, alongside doing murals and stuff. So
Hmm.
um, and particularly, obviously, trying to bring them into things like murals and street work and anything that I create. So I've been I launched just recently a series of trading cards,
Oh,
which are based off. Actually, you can see that's one of the paintings there in the background.
yeah.
Um,
Okay.
based off the based off these paintings that I did during lockdown. So as soon as we got to London, basically it was about, I think, about 3 weeks, and then all of a sudden it was another lockdown again.
Oh God.
Um, yeah, so it's been a very indoorsy experience,
Yeah.
London so far.
Well,
But that's okay.
at
Like,
least you
it's not
have
the end of the world or
at least
anything. But
at least you have the good old NHS to back you up there. That's pretty solid.
yeah, well, they definitely went through everything that they could possibly have thrown at them during all of this. Like,
Hmm.
you know, not to be down on UK or anything, but it definitely does. There's definitely been a different approach here to, say, in Australia, where it's like every time there's a new case, places get fully locked down almost instantaneously, and
Yeah.
um, there's positives and negatives to that, but obviously the big positive is that not a lot of people die, whereas
That's a
a
pretty
lot of
solid
people have
positive. That's pretty
definitely
solid.
died here.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and a lot of people have definitely been infected and have ended up with some long lasting effects and
Yeah.
stuff.
It's a
So
it's a scary climate out there right now, man. What a hell of a time to transition to a new life in a new country.
yeah,
How
yeah.
how easy
I
was
don't
it?
I, I don't know if we would do it again.
No, I
Yeah.
that that sounds about proper actually. That sounds
Yeah.
like it's not going to be something that would be something you choose to do often.
Yeah. No, look, I love to travel. Like, one of the reasons why I got so into painting and doing street pieces and stuff like that is that it really it affords you these opportunities
Mhm.
to go places, be in different locations, painting interesting different stuff if you're open to doing that. Um, I always like I like to think of myself as a jack of all trades when it comes to creative stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, and I've always seen that as being much more of a positive than a negative.
Hmm.
Um,
I would
although
agree.
there has been times where I've been a bit more worried about um, whether not focusing on one's particular subject or something has caused me to um, miss out on opportunities or something. But yeah, I think the travel side of things that comes along with doing murals is something that has always been a big driving force behind why I've kept doing what I do. As
Yeah.
much as I love just getting dirty and going and
Right.
being
Right.
in precarious positions and meeting new people, and
Yeah.
like, you know I don't know. I grew up in a bit of a relatively dangerous area where I grew up. So I think maybe there's a slight kind of like
I'm pretty. Su- I'm
addiction
pretty sure that's
to,
just Australia.
well, no, I'm not talking about Australia. I'm talking about particularly maybe the suburb area where I was from, kind of thing. It's like a
Oh,
little
okay.
bit more rough than some other areas of Australia. So,
So you probably find a little bit of comfort and possibly even nostalgia for being in a
I think there's a
undescribed,
certain
undefined
level. I think
position.
there's a certain level of honesty that comes from, and this is me just thinking about this now. Really,
Yeah, go ahead.
certain level, certain level of honesty that comes from going to places um, where things aren't necessarily comfortable, and you have to kind of win people over.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that can happen a fair bit, particularly when you do street work, because
Mm-hmm.
as soon as you start painting on the street, whether it's legal or illegal, but even when it's legal, people are walking by, people are questioning why you're there, what you're doing,
Yeah,
whether you're an asset or a criminal,
sure.
kind of thing.
What's your message?
Um,
Do I agree? Yeah, I can see that.
yeah. So, and that can come from, you know, that people will judge you for the way you look, but particularly people will always look for a reason to hate on something.
Mm.
But then I think they also look for reasons to love something as well. So it's
That's fair.
interesting to kind of come across people. Like about 2 months ago, I was painting a roller door for a business
Mm-hmm.
in Western London,
Yeah.
in Richmond, and this old lady kept coming. She came past like 3 times.
Oh wow. Okay.
And first time she came past, like I'm up a ladder, I'm on a
Yeah.
roller door. The roller door had nothing special on it previously. They'd obviously painted it um, a flat color for me to paint on top of.
Yeah.
I'm doing this seaside Beirut scene. So not Beirut in the sense of, like bombs and all,
Oh, I was
like
like, whoa. Okay.
warfare or anything, but a
Yeah.
beautiful Beirut open, here is, um, here is an Art Deco vibe of a waterfront scene.
Yeah.
Um,
Sure.
and there should be nothing to hate about that.
No.
Like I wouldn't have thought there'd be hate towards that. But
Okay.
obviously she seemed to have some very strong opinions. Um, and I find it always fascinating when people will hate on what you're literally working on in front of them
Was
and be
she
so
was
on
she
you about that.
was she angry about you painting, or was it the subject matter? Was it more like how dare
I
you paint?
I actually think that I think she wasn't necessarily appreciative of me painting what she essentially thought of as graffiti,
Oh yeah.
even though it wasn't finished and there wasn't any reason to think that it was graffiti at that stage
Sure.
anyway.
Sure.
But secondly, I think she was, yeah, I don't want to cast aspersions, but she seemed to straight away be like asking about who it was that owned the business, and
Oh.
maybe was kind of already ready to kind of throw, be racist towards them or something like that,
Oh.
as well
Okay.
as the
Yeah.
fact that
Yeah.
I think she had worked maybe in a place either there or next door or something in the past. Just old,
Yeah.
some people just don't like change. They just can't handle there being, people trying something new in an area, even though,
Mm-hmm.
the world is change. That's what it
Yes.
is.
That's
Like
very true.
if everything was to stay the same, we wouldn't have computers and cars and blah blah blah,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah, for sure. And I
yeah,
can see that being scary,
penicillin.
for people. Yeah, right. Vaccines. Who knows? All these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Anyway, but that was funny. That was like that to me. Like that's quintessentially. It's funny how the people that quite often other people would think are the scariest people for you to come across when you're painting are actually the most delightful people.
Oh yeah.
And like homeless guys love painters, you know, like
Yeah.
guys on the street, you know, anybody who's just like looks a bit rough up, quite often they'll come up to you and they'll start asking you about who you are and what you paint, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, trying to figure out the angle as to whether you paint illegally as well, and this other stuff. And they'll be up for a chat, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas whereas these people, these sometimes oldies are, you know, you know, I guess they're conservative. I don't even know what they are, because it's funny, like half the time I feel like people I would deem to be conservative are actually the ones that pay you the best money to do something cool and edgy, apparently. So
Oh man.
anyway, yeah.
Well,
So I don't know how we got down there, but
it's all right. I
yeah.
can get us back. I have a question about AR. So
Yep.
you seem to do. In, I'm assuming that I'm interpreting this correctly. That's the whole alternative reality thing, to where
Yeah,
you
augmented reality.
augmented.
So
There you go.
yeah.
So you utilize a like computer screen or a viewer of some kind, and something that is in an environment will have a different look on that camera, right?
Yeah, basically adding to the pre-existing environment with a digital a digital environment, or
Mm-hmm.
a you know, you could almost say like, I don't know how you respond to it, but basically the perfect example of augmented reality is like face filters, right? So
Sure.
you
Okay.
know, you're projecting something within the space that does something to the space to slightly change it. Um, I use it as a way to kind of even steal space in a way.
Mm.
I actually see it as the ultimate form of kind of because graffiti and street art, there's kind of like a reclaiming space, you know, finding a space where you can take back what's there,
Yeah.
and it's for you now, you know, it's your space. um uh so you know, and obviously you can get in a lot of trouble for doing that to spaces which, you know, the establishment deems to be either owned by somebody else, or
Yeah.
you know, general populace believes it to be owned by something else,
Yeah. It's okay.
or you know,
It's okay if Coca-Cola does
public
it,
space.
but if I do it,
Yeah.
it's
So
not all right.
you know, it's funny what people will get upset about actually when it comes to graffiti, but it's a really interesting example recently where Banksy apparently has done a piece on, I think, one of the British coastlines, and you know, he said that he did it, blah blah blah, and then somebody's come along and literally painted it out. And people are talking about suing the people that painted it out. It's like, you can't have it both ways. You know, this is
Yeah.
graffiti. Like,
Yeah.
this is like, you you know,
They-
you can't. Yeah. So
the reverse.
as
The reverse
always, it
gentrification.
brings up a really interesting conversation about why does society seem to value one thing over another, and you know, what is graffiti to one person is valuable to another person,
Yes.
or to a population, or to history.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if we were to look back at things that were carved in stone, maybe back then people didn't like the fact that somebody was carving something into the stone,
I just
you
got
know,
this
or what
cave.
they were saying.
I just got this
Pardon?
cave. I just got this cave. I'm still
Yeah.
making payments, and this
Yeah, that's right.
and this kid
That's
came
right.
by.
You know, I kicked that bear out of here. You know, that wasn't easy. You know, like, you know, he got evicted.
Yeah.
Now he's, you know, like, well, I kicked out most of him. You know, the
Yeah.
rest of him's my bed now. But
Yeah. But then you come in and you drew the bear. Now
yeah,
now
then he came
now
in here,
now I'm upset.
try to tell me about your hunt, and then you know, you threw a bunch of these peacock hand looking images up on the wall. It's like, I got to deal with that now.
Yeah.
It's not like I've got paint to get rid of that.
Yeah.
That's now stuck here.
I've got layers of frustration kept for all time. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's,
It's like, and what's with all the brown colors? I was after something a bit more poppy.
yeah, yeah,
Did you not throw
yeah,
Did you not throw some neon in there?
yeah, yeah.
Whatever that is.
Yeah, I wanted some. Yeah, I want to invent a color, and I want it to be brighter than this. I need.
Yeah, that's right.
I
And
need.
he'd be more like that thing that burnt me the other day. That thing.
Right.
That
The guy up the
but
street, he killed a bunch of beetles, and now we have a color called red. I want you to use red.
yeah, that's right.
You need to put red up here.
Yeah, his place looks awesome.
Yeah,
It's all
yeah.
like black
Red.
and charred kind of thing. It's got an
Yeah,
interesting smell to it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. His bear, has voting rights. It's pretty solid.
Yeah, it looks really good in the dark.
Yeah, it
Really
glows.
good. I have no idea what we're drawing here, by the way. This is
I don't either. I'm just doodling.
just
It's
so
fine. It's fine.
if all else fails, just draw a face with apparently a dagger stabbing into the side of it.
It's okay. We can get another one.
That's the thing.
The dagger broke some things. Um, so, uh, as far as the AR thing goes,
Yes.
you mentioned that is something that you applied technology wise to an area. It can be used to mark an area. I am curious as to how that works. I could just Google it, but I'm fucking lazy, so I'm not gonna. But you describe yourself partially as a digital artist, primarily probably because the technology affords you these new technology mediums, right? So like AR and that sort of thing. Probably why
Yeah.
people were trying to get you in NFTs as well.
Yeah.
I am curious so the few times that I've actually seen or interacted with AR things, there's some sort of a registration point that like triggers something in an app.
Yeah, exactly.
What would be the normal path that you would take to demonstrate one of your AR pieces? And I can post something in the chat or something later if they want to see what you've done or things that you've worked on. But I'm curious. What would
So
be your
I
normal way of
to
showing
to
it?
to demonstrate AR,
Mm-hmm.
I take my phone.
Yeah. All right.
I use an app called Artivive for my particular AR activations.
Okay.
There, yeah,
I
it's somewhere on there.
Here we go.
Anyway, you can see there's like a camera going on there,
Yeah. Okay.
and I could take something like this artwork,
Okay.
and it will see the artwork,
Yeah.
and it will add an animation over the top.
Oh. Okay. So you take a
So no
snapshot,
matter the
essentially.
direction, that so long as enough of the artwork is visible to the program, it'll be able to continually throw that animation on top.
Okay. That's a solid demo there.
Yeah.
And you can do this with like murals, because I think that you were showing something, a sneak peek at something that you're working on right now. Was it an arcade?
Oh yeah, yeah. So you basically you described it very well. It basically, with the type of work that I've been doing of late, is I'm trying to keep it as straightforward and simple as possible, because potentially, particularly for the end user, so that they can be able to just access the AR without having to go through 100 steps in going through, for instance, Facebook filter, right? You have to go into Facebook, you may have to follow an individual or like a page or something like that, then go into the camera, then go into the filter section. Already these are too many steps, and then you'll have to search through to find the specific filter. The specific filter is only represented by an individual icon that you may have to then try and figure out if that's the related one to the thing that you're about to do. So I have, at the moment at least, avoided using platforms like Facebook and that for my artwork stuff. I would still use it for things like face filters and that kind of stuff yeah, if I want to, I can do that. Like,
Yeah.
there's a program called Spark AR, which is a Facebook-based
Oh,
software
okay.
program. Lots of lots of tutorials on this stuff. Like, it's not, the hard part isn't actually, well, in my mind anyway, I
Yeah.
might be oversimplifying, but
Yeah.
the hard part isn't the actual activating of the AR. It's the intention. It's like making
Mm.
sure that you create the work that portrays that intention. So,
Okay.
my only intention with this stuff is to have the image that's there, have more images that are animated and moving on top of that image.
Okay.
So in the future, there might be things where you can, and there's examples of this already happening, is that you'll be able to actually uh, interact with the AR. So, for
Oh.
instance, there are obviously
Okay.
face filters and games and things where
Mm-hmm.
you can have it on your face and you can actually move your hand in
Mm-hmm.
front of the camera screen or
Yeah.
whatever to change the reactions of that augmented reality. So my hope is in future I'll be able to do that more with the artworks themselves.
Yeah.
But I still really love the analog side of this type of work as
Yeah.
much as the digital. So that's why, for instance, with these, they're paintings first, and then they can become something else more than that. So,
Okay.
and then even when I made them into trading cards, so where are trading cards here? So, like, you got a trading card here.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very cool trading card, and it's got the silver and everything going on, but it still feels like a very tactile,
Yeah.
collectible thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So for me, that's really important. Like, I feel like
Mm-hmm.
you shouldn't lose that world.
No.
You should still very much be you should still very much be doing that sort of I don't know. For me, I just like people being able to feel like they've got something that's going to last past
Yes.
the digital content. So
Well.
and I feel that therefore more valuable.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I like the description that you gave, where it's something tangible, which has always been a part of art for probably our generation, primarily because we had comic books, we had things that we would sit down and lay with,
Yeah.
and like stuff in our bags and carry around and show off. That's honestly the thing that I found trickiest about the. You can make a new layer over it there. There you go.
Perfect.
Got it. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, you found trickiest.
But that's probably why people were telling you about the NFTs, because they don't have something that is grounded
Yeah.
in actual reality, aside from a concept on a blockchain.
Yeah.
And it's truly unique. It's something that only they have, but which is a novelty in a digital world. Like having something that can only be yours, but it's also
I like the concept behind NFTs. I do like the idea of taking back control over currency and
mm-hmm.
where our wealth goes, and cutting out these corporate fat cat bullshit and all that kind of stuff. My only worry is that the environmental costs, and thus the reason why I've held off at this point. And unfortunately, with there being such a bubble and such a surge into it, and with there being so many currencies,
Mm-hmm.
I think it gets quite confusing and quite scary, because these things are. It's like you can't get a straight answer on. We do. We're right or wrong. We do tend to decide what something is worth in comparison to something else,
Mm-hmm.
and I think this is where these fluctuations in what a digital currency is worth
Mm-hmm.
is quite scary. at the end of the day for anybody and everybody.
Right.
Because if it does get adopted in a large scale way, like how is it really shaken up the system other than just moving individuals into being rich and other individuals into being less rich and a whole
Yes.
bunch of people still being poor.
Yes. Yes. How is it still art and not just a gold rush? You know.
Yeah,
I think
and
I
I do
understand
think
what you're
there is
saying.
kind of like cases like are we really this, I don't know, are we really like, are we buying it? Like like is it just like, is it like gambling addiction? Is it just like
Mm,
flashing lights and the illusion of this thing to prove to other people that we know something or we've got something that they
right.
don't have is somehow
Boy, boy,
worthy, you know?
boy, am I cutting edge, and is it really that important to own the original? You know. Yeah.
Yeah, like I would say that there's definitely some really important things to own in life, and I think art is an extravagance. Um, but I do think not to say art isn't valuable. I think art and creative work pulls things forwards. It
Hmm. Oh,
creates a lot of positivity in the world,
yeah.
but I think greed when it comes to um, these worlds too, and also using artists as a way to get tax breaks or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, I made an investment in this
Right.
artist.
Right.
Only the value will tell everybody whether this artist is actually. And I think artists get kind of trapped in this world of thinking, oh well, my artwork's selling for $5, it's not worth anything.
Yeah.
Oh, but and that other guy's artwork is selling for $100 million, he's a
Yes.
better artist than me.
Right. Right.
No,
Right.
that's not the case. Yeah,
Assuming
I
per.
don't believe any of that. And I think that's this kind of weird suppression thing that comes down from our organized, our, societies and stuff. So
I agree
not
with
to
you.
get all hippie deep with it or anything, but it,
Are
it does definitely.
that
It,
on? That's not a negative word to me.
no, no, all
that's
right.
that's all I want to talk about. Like, oh yeah, you're right. Fuck all that. So anyway, tell me about the means of production. Um, anyway, we have a question really quick, or actually a comment. Uh,
Yeah.
it's from my friend Andre. He says, "I'd love to get digital art worth something, but I don't think people who run the NFTs are really there for artists." Do you?
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I don't do it. If you want to buy, this is one of the reasons why I have made products that have AR on them. So
Mm-hmm.
you buy that product, you are buying that product. The animation is stored online, just like any
Yes.
NFT. The animation is stored online. Your NFT, that if you buy it, somebody could have still viewed it before you. Like what you're buying is literally your name in a ledger somewhere under an avatar name. Like, what is that? What is that worth to? Is that really worth a lot to you, or would
Right.
it be more worth something to you to directly support the artist?
Mm-hmm.
The footprint is literally in front of you of what went into that artwork, in the sense of paper costs or materials costs behind it, the postage costs. The artist may have even told you how long it took, or you got to see it in production.
Yeah.
um and then, yeah, of course, the art. And that's the other thing, is like, is it more valuable that you've managed to grab something at a point in time, you still get the tangible thing, but maybe it won't last forever? That's
Mm.
the other thing too,
Yes.
because like, I think we hold more value on things that are
Or permanent.
it's like we're buying that because we love that, but we also know that the book that we buy will eventually, the pages will eventually yellow,
Mm-hmm.
they will eventually turn back to organic matter or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, they
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
eventually, it will deteriorate.
Yeah,
um
yeah, without a billion people sitting at the Louvre restoring your work, which isn't likely going to happen, uh,
yeah, the likelihood of that is
we have a
very little.
timeline.
And this is the funny thing, is that we always think of all these big, I had somebody at the IWS thing was telling me about, like, how how much he loves the old masters and all this kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And I was thinking to myself at the time, I was like, that's really great. I actually I'm really love some of the old masters artworks and stuff. But I also think to myself, it's like, they're only old masters because somebody decided to put them in a gallery there, and then an
Exactly.
art critic decided to talk in a book or a newspaper about that particular. And don't get me wrong,
Exactly. No, no, no.
you
I
can
agree.
see points in time and art history, and it's really important. But there was probably, much like there is now, there was probably other people throughout that generation that their work may have never gotten seen. It may have not survived all the wars up to this
Yeah.
date.
Yeah. Well,
So
and you and I feel have a very strong affinity probably in the punk culture, right? Um,
yeah, a little
you,
bit.
well, yeah, little, tiny little,
Just a little.
tiny little connection here because I'm absolutely vibing with what you're saying. One of the
Mm,
things that my girl and I, when we were in London, we decided to go see the National Gallery because
mm,
it's free and it was cool, and there aren't
yeah,
many free
totally.
things in London, so
Yep, yep.
wasn't necessary, but definitely was welcome at that point on having spent so many things on all these redundant COVID tests and whatnot to get back.
Ay.
So one of the realizations that I had sitting there, not some stunning like, oh my god, I figured it out. It was more realizing that the only reason that a lot of these people were able to make this art is because they were either a part of an aristocracy or in an aristocrat's pocket. You
Yep.
know, they had patrons, and with
Yeah,
that
totally.
means that they didn't start out typically some like street rat somewhere. This isn't
Mm,
like a rags to riches thing. In order to get training at this atelier school, you're already a
mm.
part of this elite. You're already up here.
Yeah,
So like the con.
you've made an agreement with somebody that you are going to produce work for them, or
Yeah,
their family.
yeah,
It's a yeah, yeah.
yeah. You were considered to be either an aristocrat or the aristocrat's dog, which means the messages that you're putting forward and the techniques you're putting forward are all approved and stylistic and add add peak consumability at that point.
And the
So
clearest example of how that corrupts history and corrupts people is the fact that you have how many hundreds of images of, say, Jesus Christ as a
mhm.
white guy, white Italian style guy. Like,
Look at his luscious
that
hair.
is
Like,
that is
uh-huh.
the epitome of gall to
Yeah.
obviously a man who was not
Right. So
purely Italian. Like, literally, it
yeah.
was the Romans that came down to that region. They
Hmm.
came down to that region to a man of a different nationality. Like,
Yeah. Like
it's like
I
we,
found this guy.
yeah, sorry,
He's in the Mediterranean.
yeah,
He's talking a lot of really 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 Hindu ideas.
yeah.
I found him here. I'm gonna make him look like my dad. Like what the fuck is wrong with you? That's like it's sort of the equivalent of like the whole food dog thing. Someone described a lion a couple times to someone. And we're like, lion? I made a lion. They're like, that's not sure. That's a giant. It's fine. That's probably a lion. We'll do a lion. We'll just call it. We'll just call it that. Ah, yeah. That's a great topic. Definitely not going to have anyone heated anywhere. Um, whatever. We didn't draw any penises, so that's fine.
It's all
Um,
good. It's all
yeah,
good.
yeah. It's okay. Um, so I'm gonna skip forward just a little bit because being friends now, I'm assuming I'm not being too forward. I think that we could
Oh, brothers,
probably get
brothers,
stuck in
basically.
brothers, kissing cousins. All right, um, we're gonna. I think we would.
Beard buds.
Yeah. I think you and I would very likely get stuck on this topic for quite a long time. So
Oh, of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I would like to go over some of the actual experiences that we had at the IWS this year now too. I think that
Yeah, of course, man.
we've established who you are, some of our shared value systems. If they're watching me, the chances are we get along just fine. and they'll like
What
you
gets
too.
me so angry?
Ugh. You know what really grinds my gears? I'll tell you. I have an opinion, and you're gonna hear it. No one ever listens to people like me. We middle
Yeah,
class,
us the
middle class.
middle-aged white men.
Yeah,
That's
my
yeah.
opinion must be heard.
It's about time that we get heard.
Where's my stage?
Yeah, yeah.
I,
I do art for a living. What I say is important.
yeah, I clearly have a unique take on all this, and that would be an example of what do they call it? Taking the piss out of ourselves. I don't know how
You
this.
have to.
I had
You
to
have
learn a
to.
lot of terms on this trip. I learned.
Oh, you didn't know that one. You didn't know taking the piss.
I did. I did. It just context means so much more when you hear it when you hear it live in a pub somewhere, and you just and I'm
Yeah.
trying not to giggle because everyone talks like my favorite movies. Like they said that on Shaun of the Dead. Fuck.
Yeah.
I'm gonna they're gonna yell at me. um.
It's
So
always funny because I think because America is such a big place with such a large population, um, the outside world obviously is very affected by America because
Mhm.
of
Guns.
media and entertainment and everything like that. But
Yeah.
and everybody, I think a lot of the world, at least the places that I've experienced, thinks that America doesn't maybe generally think about the rest of the world very much,
Yeah.
which might be true for some and definitely very untrue for others. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it is always interesting when I meet anybody from overseas, particularly as an Australian, and then they start barking any kind of Australianisms at me, which half the time aren't even Australianisms because they've
Yeah.
just seen it in a film and they think, like Crocodile Dundee is somehow like the reality that
Yeah.
we live in Australia
Yeah.
or something.
Is that man not a
Um,
national treasure? Are you messing with me? Are you?
yeah, yeah,
A
yeah,
dingo ate your baby. Is that a real thing?
yeah. That's right.
Dingoes are real, right? I need to know.
Yeah, dingoes are real, but it's like,
Shrimp Barbie.
I feel like sometimes the things that have made it popular in America or overseas, like Steve Irwin, for instance, is a perfect example. Is like, I think it's like he got grabbed by the media overseas because he's the perfect epitome of what the
I,
stereotype is
I
that they
can't
want
wait
to
to hear.
believe in,
I
right?
can't wait to hear the shit
Whereas,
talking about Steve Irwin. Go ahead.
whereas it's like he was an idiot, like he was literally on an awards show in Australia because his thing. He was on an award show in Australia, and he brought a snake on stage, and then he tripped on the stage and launched this deadly snake at one of the actors that was supposed to be getting an award. The snake bit the guy in the thigh, and the guy had to be rushed off the hospital. And this is like a guy that apparently represents to most of the world. People would be like, "Oh yeah, that's the quintessential Australian right there.
Oh yeah.
That's the guy.
You do.
That's what they're all like."
You do. You do talk like him. I just want to point that
Oh
out.
well, he talked like me.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay. Hold on. We have another question from Andre. He says, "What is the Aussie equivalent of American Crocodile Dundee? What do Aussies think it is American but isn't?"
Ooh,
That's
yeah.
a fun one. Oh.
What do we think is American?
Hell, Hellbound says no. Steve Irwin, he was the best. in that accent.
You guys,
No, Steve Irwin.
you guys can have it. In my opinion, you guys can have it. Like I love the fact that he used his money to buy up a whole bunch of like wetlands and like protective national forests and things like this. Like he basically created like all these like sanctuaries.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. If you're
Yeah.
gonna sell out, he sold
Yeah.
out the right way, kind of thing. And
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah.
gonna
He did
be the
something powerful with it,
entertainment,
I guess.
yeah, that's the right thing to do. He obviously, he loved animals. He definitely did. So,
Yeah.
but yeah. In terms of America, I don't know. Like, I think the gun-toting, crazy Southern American thing. I think everybody thinks of themselves coming over to the US and maybe like getting shot I
I
think
mean,
that's a
I'm,
very common thought. I don't know if that's real. I don't
I'm,
think so. I
I'm
think there
in.
must be enough people that go over there to visit and don't get shot.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. No, no. You're pretty much gonna be all right. I mean, but then again, I do live in Florida, so the the Florida
well, that's
man
the thing,
thing
right? Like
is very
even the
true.
Floridians, I would hazard to guess that the because like within America, Americans make fun of, or at least entertainment news and all the rest makes fun of
Oh yeah,
Florida,
oh
right?
yeah.
You know, it's where all the people go to retire, or
Or
it's
do
where all
meth.
the guys go to wrestle, alligators in the swamps and shrimp fishing, which I'm sure there's a part of that, but I'm sure there's a lot of people that in Florida that, there's a lot of other cultures there. Like,
Yeah, sure.
yeah, and I think it's a real. I think it's always a shame. It's fun, but it's always a shame when we kind of get trapped in these little bubbles of, like I, for instance, have a bit of a fear of South America because obviously growing up, I heard of a lot of backpackers and people
Mm,
getting, um, I guess kidnapped, and it's
yeah,
a dangerous place in my mind.
yeah.
As to whether that's accurate, I don't
Honestly,
know. Maybe I'm just scared.
that's a trope that is pushed here, and as you said earlier, you know, you like travel. That's one way to find out for yourself.
Yeah.
We kind of ran into the same thing. Fuck you, Andre. I am not Florida man. Um, so yeah, we are definitely gun toting maniacs. But anyway, based on my our travel to London, I had never done anything like that, man. That's why we jumped so hard on it. Be like, well, let's see, right?
All right. You
Um,
guys have been out of Florida before, though, right?
out of Florida, sure, and
Right.
Claney had traveled as well.
Yeah.
she had already been to London. Probably
Oh,
why
okay. Right.
probably why it was okay for me to consume so much of our time on our vacation for
Sure.
getting my ass kicked by you. But
You're really making that out like it was like something bigger than it was. Like
yeah,
you
that's oh my
really
god.
like
That's I
the fact
am
that
I
the fact that I think it was literally just subject, like the way with which we approached the subject, that was just different, and
yeah yeah.
it's a
Well,
very
what
subjective thing.
what I like is that my phone was going nuts with all my friends, being really supportive, be like, yeah, fuck that guy, and like you and I were sitting next to each other laughing and like high five and like, we did it, we finished, we did 1 hour,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and just talking shit like, oh, this is great. I am so glad we did this.
yeah.
Andre
Well,
says thanks
one
for
hour of
coming
one
to
of the
this
most
place.
interesting programs to try and create live with.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm not sure if Mark will ever listen to this, but fuck Medibang.
yeah.
Holy hell. I had never heard of that app. I had installed it on my girlfriend's daughter's iPad so I could try it
Yeah,
out. It
yeah,
seemed okay. It's nothing like Procreate, but I was like, it's fine. If everyone's hamstrung, they didn't give us the tablet until like 10 minutes before we started, and then I'm sitting here like while the clock's running, like why there's no pen pressure.
yeah,
Like this is all
yeah,
wrong. I
yeah,
can't do anything. It was pretty ridiculous.
yeah.
Just to
No,
shine some light here, for those who had asked on the live stream itself and before, yes, we did have access to some of the topics ahead of time, just so we could familiarize ourselves with it. Uh, but not enough, not enough to overcome all of the moving pieces that I would have liked to have been given had this been properly cheating. Um, you know,
yeah,
like I would have liked to have known a lot more about this, look up who some of these people were. The person that I drew was definitely not the guy who was that. The actual topic was quite boring,
yeah.
but I don't know. The sponsors were really cool. Um, we had some drop out at like the last second.
Yeah.
Hellbound hated he hated the app apparently. That's good to know.
Oh yeah.
Uh, Andre says he knows a few who love Medibang, so I think that sounds like the app wasn't set up right. Yeah, well, maybe so. But we were also using the Samsung devices, which, with them being new devices, I don't think that any of us really had the experience. Uh, we were.
I think the thing is with any of this software, it's like if you've never used a piece of like we obviously adapted enough for that moment in time, and
Yes.
I definitely found that as I went through the rounds, um, I got better because I
Oh yeah,
actually
yeah,
figured
yeah.
out
I bet.
like as you know, in the battle against you,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know where the brushes were. So I literally used the one brush,
Yeah,
which was the pencil brush that had a certain amount of opacity to it.
yeah.
So
You whoop my ass with with
I
a
didn't whoop
round
your
brush.
ass. I you
I
know,
know. I
I
know.
think I think overall I think I would have done better. I think I would have even layout wise done better if I had known that program better. But I think the same thing can be said for you, and I think the same thing can be said for everybody else.
That's very true.
I had played around with it much like you on the iPad, and like you just said, it's
It was a
the
different experience
technology
completely, man.
feels different, is different on the iPad.
Yeah.
When I went up against Alex, yet again, like that is like you can see night and day the difference between somebody who is using it on their home PC versus somebody that's using it on a tablet that's like
I was
this
wondering when
big.
this was gonna happen. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna talk shit already. Okay. Yeah.
So like I'm fine. Like the thing is that I'm absolutely happy with my performance overall. Anyway, it was cool.
Yeah.
But I also do know that like maybe if I had it, because I planned my artwork kind of based upon the fact that I was gonna run into the hurdles that I ran into,
Mm-hmm.
and then I ran into some of those hurdles, and it is still was I still wasn't absolutely 100% with the end product. Like it could have been a lot better.
Right.
Even a half hour more, and I would have done better on that.
True.
But I didn't have a hotkey to undo. I
Right.
didn't have
Mm-hmm.
big screens to play with. I didn't have like
Oh.
the I had to use a cloth across the screen
I remember
to
that.
stop
Yeah.
the canvas from popping in and out.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, what I found that was happening, particularly in an Alex match, was that where the cloth would run would go across the camera, so the screen would dim. So I was running into that as well. And then all of a sudden, when I would then go to try and go back, sometimes you would accidentally click on the wrong thing because the confines of all the interface is so close together.
Yeah.
Now, the person that said that they know people that love Medibank, maybe those people aren't using that within an hour.
Maybe that's true.
Maybe they get to take their time on stuff. And I agree. I could totally use that program if I got to take my time.
Yeah, for sure.
But otherwise, yeah, maybe
I
not the greatest. Yeah.
No, definitely not. And I do think, shit talking aside, I do want to say, as you and I discussed previously, that we are thankful for this experience and how badass this thing was. The very nature of something like this, which is kind of what you and I were consoling ourselves with when we were waiting on the actual votes anyway, is that art is so fucking subjective. If you were raised,
I think yours could have easily won,
right?
And we know that by the 1 point difference.
Yeah.
Like
it was off by one.
Yeah.
And
so
I had it explained to me. Mark actually came to explain to me the point thing, probably because he probably misinterpreted my anxiety recovery run to go somewhere and be like, too many lights, too many noises. Hold on, give me a minute. To be me being distraught about the results when I didn't even hear them. I was like, no, man, I'm over here panicking. What do you want? Like I'm on the phone. He's like, don't worry about it. This is why. I was like, I'm not that guy. I'm all right. The nature of art is that it's a beauty contest.
Yeah.
It's completely arbitrary.
Yeah.
I mean, if you,
Also, like you and I both don't draw BuzzFeed headlines.
oh
That
yeah,
is part of the weird
yeah, yeah,
dynamic of that. And even having gotten given that headline early, I actually did one of my practices was
mm-hmm.
doing that barbarian looking dude in one of the designs I came up with.
Oh okay, yeah,
In prep. But at the time, I was like, well, how strict are they going to be to
mm-hmm.
the actual article? I
Yes.
think is it all about the headlines? And I actually think I took a real risk with that
You
helmet
absolutely
thing.
did. You absolutely did,
Yeah,
man.
because
Uh, I think I told you what Mark told me. The judging criteria was the thing that made the difference.
yeah,
To filter it down again, like, all right, so you drew this prison helmet, right? This like a riot helmet, and it was
right
sitting
on. Yeah,
on. I think it was sitting on top of a prison jumpsuit folded up, and on
yeah.
the side of it you had written press, and then you had also written other, common
Basically,
stickers.
the idea was that the guy has tattooed his helmet with all the MAGA, conspiracy theory, whatever,
Yes.
Q is my Facebook friend from QAnon, kind of idea, like trying to do tongue in cheek with it.
Yeah, yeah.
And the idea is that, here's one way to try and, and completely obviously retreating from him actually standing up for what
Yes.
he believes in,
Yeah, like,
is to then slap press on the side of it.
yes. They're like, wow, what an amazing conviction you have. It's like a suicide bomber, wearing, some sort of an ejection thing. Like,
Yeah,
oh, no. You hit
yeah,
eject. It didn't go off, and that's why, okay,
yeah,
you're an asshole. You know,
yeah.
like you didn't even have the
One
conviction
of
for
the
it.
one of the lines I had on it was initially was um, "Don't shoot," and then like it was supposed to be kind of like slightly harder to see underneath
Mm-hmm.
before me, kind of
Oh,
idea. So it's like
right.
it's like don't shoot me because I
Yeah,
should be allowed to shoot you
yeah,
first.
yeah. No,
It's
no.
my God given right
Yeah, of
to
course.
take away your rights. Like that's.
Yeah, I demand a
But
recount unless my guy
I got to
wins. Yeah.
say, with all of that, I found that really tricky, that subject matter, because that's got no
Yeah.
real connection with me. I
Yes.
thought,
Well,
like,
that's what was really tricky about it. One of the reasons I got frustrated actually was I
yeah,
was drawing and I could hear the well-intentioned but just noisy as shit host. The comedian guy that I hired, super cool guy, just
yeah,
just loud, and he has to fill the silence. But when he's sitting
yeah,
there
yeah,
telling me what my design is and telling the people watching,
yeah,
and he's like, "Well, we have Trump coming out of the White House. Like that makes no fucking sense. No,
yeah,
that's not. I mean, he corrected it later, but it is one of those like, how would he
yeah,
know because he doesn't know? He's not here.
yeah,
I mean, I was
yeah, yeah,
impressed that you had done your due diligence and actually researched things because I figured, my man, I'm a shoe-in. I'm the fucking American in this one.
yeah,
What's
yeah,
up?
yeah.
Like, I just gotta draw the dude with the horns, because that's very
I was
iconic.
real. I was really surprised that I actually managed to win that. Like I told you afterwards, like I was genuinely thought that you had it, because it's like
Yeah, stupid American.
relating it back to how those contests usually run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Usually it's characters, usually it's a scene, usually it's a statement.
Yes.
And that's why I was like, well, this is my first time doing this. It's not that I wasn't taking it seriously, but I was like, maybe to stand out, I'll try to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And I already do items in my own art
Mm.
as well, with stickers and tattooed stuff all over them. So I
Sure.
was like, well,
Yes.
I know that vibe. Maybe I can make it kind of sit well. And I had read through the article and saw that guy with that helmet on. I was like, all right, well, maybe I can do that, But then,
Right.
yeah.
Well.
Then later on, I get kind of told by some of the judges, it's like, oh, we don't really look too hard at the art. I'm like, What are you talking about? The whole point is
Like,
like,
why would you not want it? Okay.
yeah.
One of the things that had well, that that first jump thing, that first round bit is definitely going immediately first.
Mm.
Was great and horrifying because both of
Oh
us
yeah,
did not know
absolutely.
what we were going into. We didn't, I think both of us are smart enough to know that you can game the judges. We didn't
Yeah,
have a chance to because we didn't know what they wanted. Had I
yeah, of
known,
course.
maybe that the way that I had it explained to me once again was
Yeah,
if there's a news topic, an illustration that needs to be done,
yeah,
you can go several different routes with this. You can either
yeah,
go extremely. You can do what I did, which was sort of like create an illustration that is uh, a editorial article almost. It's 1,000 words, and there's a
yeah,
thousand in there. You know what I mean? Like it
yeah,
has
yeah,
words, it has all that. Yours, the direction that you went, which I thought was really brilliant, was more akin to a bumper sticker,
yeah,
which
yeah.
shares the same wisdom.
It's supposed to be like a poster,
Yes,
kind of
yes,
idea.
yes,
Yeah,
exactly. Like a propaganda poster. It doesn't hold the nuances of the story, but it doesn't have to because it exists alongside the story, so it's fine. It just
yeah.
it was such a shift because I didn't even look at yours, and then I looked up and like, what? Fucking helmet? I was like, this kid
What
won
did
with a
you?
helmet? And then I looked over and I was like, fuck, I like you. Fuck you, man. That's not cool. I'm like, why do I like this asshole? Uh. So, like we were over there talking shit. You were writing notes to your mom. I was too. It was weird. It was just all sorts of weird. But I do feel proud of the fact that we were able to shape the next people who had to go up because they got to witness what the first
Oh,
round had to go through to be like, all right, the guy from BuzzFeed's here. He likes design posters, so we're gonna we're gonna need you guys should probably focus on your design and your composition, and not just be like, this is what your article said. I mean,
yeah.
there were so many different styles that were represented at that
And
place that I was amazed.
I gotta
Yeah.
say, I think knowing Alex particularly and his vibe, that
Mm-hmm.
he's like the threadless guy. He's the guy that makes t-shirts. Like
Yeah.
t-shirt designs is kind of like his vibe. So it's like he kind of actually plays that line between both of us. I
Yes, he
think in
does.
the way he approaches work.
He
So it's
does.
like it's a tongue-in-cheek statement on something, but it's also a poster.
Yeah.
It's something that looks resolved compositionally, um,
Yeah.
which is why he's won it now twice in a row.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Yeah. He walks the line and he knows where. And
Yeah,
commercial
yeah,
products do that.
yeah,
But both of us
yeah,
have a niche, and both of us have our own fan base. Both of us have our people who support us and love what we do. All right, Andre. Thanks for following, man. Didn't know you weren't following. Oh, hosting. I'm gonna read better soon. One day, not today. Oh, Hellbound says we both captured the headline brilliantly. Ah,
Oh, thanks, man.
yeah. I was. It was rather anticlimactic to have them announce. I don't think either of us knew when they announced it what was actually going on about who won because it was sort of like spoken over the next round. By the way, the results of the last one are this. So it didn't feel quite as
I didn't
climactic.
even know. I frankly, I think I left to go get food because I was just like, I'm sick of waiting around for
Yeah.
this.
Right.
Apparently they're going to announce this online or something. He's like, and I thought that was the weirdest way to do that. It's just like, if you got the time in between sessions, just as judges, just go and judge the thing and just give us the result.
Yeah.
Don't leave us on the hook. And
Yeah.
even if it's a case of you just tell the individual people to their faces first,
Sure.
so that they're able to, because I think particularly on the second day when there was people that had to draw twice,
Mm-hmm.
um, because if they won their round, they were going to then go into the quarterfinals straight away on the same
Mm-hmm.
day. It's like, don't fart around, just tell them,
All
get
right.
on with it, kind
Yeah.
of thing. But
Well.
like I'm probably coming across more, pissy and annoying than anything about but it was a great event. Like
Yeah.
you go to those things to meet people. You go to those things to have a good time and chat with people and all the rest. There's always one or two people usually at these things that are super competitive but they're there to beat you at art, kind
I
of
mean,
thing. That didn't
sorry.
seem to be the case this time.
Oh.
I think there was maybe only one person that I can think of that was a bit more competitive than the rest. No, no.
Oh.
Um,
I was like,
but
really?
overall, I think the whole thing was really great.
Oh yeah.
Like even now you can see like there's that WhatsApp group chat
the,
that's
the,
just like
the
we had
constantly
this
beeping
WhatsApp
thing
group
on my
that's got all the
phone.
competitors in it, and it's just still going. Like
Yeah. Yep.
so
Well,
yeah.
that's actually one of the topics I wanted to get to. Would be, what do you think that we could do better for the IWS thing? Because I would like to see this take off. I really liked hearing what Mark said about his vision for the future of this. I would like to see. What do you think that, design wise at least, or in any manner that you would like, but how do you think that this whole thing could be improved? I mean, obviously logistics aside, there are some things that we can't predict, like the UK tightening up some of their visitation things, so suddenly the country you're from is not allowed in. Obviously those little details that are out of our control or out of Mark's control.
Yeah.
Like I
Look,
know I spoke to some
I
people. Yeah, go ahead.
I think with any event that involves people taking time away from their work, traveling overseas, there needs to be like I didn't know before the event or even during the event what the scenario was with the travel for you guys in terms of like what costs were absorbed by you and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But from my understanding, it was basically like you guys just paid for everything
Mm-hmm.
to be there, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And I know that some of the people were like people that had even just applied; they hadn't been invited, which is cool. But it's like, wow, that's like a big commitment to an event. In my opinion, like that's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
money out,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Unless you've got something else that, like, I would only ever have done that event if I was coming from America or Australia. If I knew, and I would have done it for on off my own money if it was corresponding with another job.
Sure.
That's the only way I would have ever done that.
Sure.
I'm lucky that I'm here to do it, but like I wouldn't have done it your scenario because. But you see, you did the holiday thing. You saw
Yes.
it as a holiday,
Yes.
so it's kind of a good excuse. But generally, I would have tried to line it up with work.
Yes.
So,
and I think for future things, I would have to unless something changed. Because
yeah, and that's where the change would be.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think more than anything that is that, and maybe consulting with the artists beforehand before say certain sponsors are approached, like the Medibank thing. I don't even know if the Medibank thing was a sponsor or not.
No, they were not. I think it was just
so
an arbitrary.
It's kind of like, well, if they're not going to be a sponsor, then just use Procreate or something. Use a better program. I guess
that would definitely not work with the Samsung thing. But
hell, I'd use this program that we're using right now.
Right, this is way better.
So, but the other thing too is that I would have also like,
and this is
I don't know, given us maybe got us in like a day or two before to like be able to have the option to spend some time on the platform, like on the Samsung.
Oh yeah,
because I think the Samsung, if you're used to the Samsung, you could probably use it really well.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And there's probably like adjustments to the settings within the Samsung itself that would have probably maybe alleviated some of the stress and stuff.
Possibly.
Other things would be, for instance, and I'm probably, probably hurting myself in a way if Mark is watching this, is that I think ultimately Alex shouldn't have been in the contest
Oh, okay. Just
if he
because,
can't be there,
right?
because it isn't a level playing field.
Yeah.
I'm not upset by it. I just think, even for King Trout, who lost in the end, everybody who had to go up against Alex is not only up against a guy that's already won it in the past, which is already daunting
Oh
in the
yeah.
sense of that you're playing you're battling against a previous champion, but now you're also on a new piece of software, on a new piece of hardware, in front of people,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Jet lagged.
potentially, yeah,
Possibly.
potentially jet lag, potentially completely out of a comfort zone.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think I had too much of. I actually was shaking when we were battling, because I was just like, just your adrenaline's going a little bit.
Right.
But usually I don't mind, say, like spray painting. I've spray painted in front of heaps of people before. There's no problem. You kind of get used to people being walking up and trying to take photos on your heels and that
Oh
kind of
yeah.
stuff. But that was a different type of environment, and I definitely think the knowing that he had the advantages of being in his own comfy
Mm.
house in his own chair. I know that he wanted to come. He had it all booked and he was going to be there.
Yeah.
I heard that the reasoning why it was important he was still in it was
Yeah.
because like Samsung needed him to be in it. It was like a sponsor thing.
Yes.
Um,
But
but I still just in my mind, I'm just like,
it did
then
leave.
you gotta pull out the stops to make sure it at least feels fair.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, and I would agree. There's a lot of things that are going to be very tricky as far as keeping this a level playing field. But that's an important point. Is trying to make sure that everyone has their that everyone feels that it's straight up what was explained. That like
Yeah,
the if you're going to have rules, they need to apply, and
yeah,
that's an important thing. Just I like you, the times that I've tried to explain how I feel about some of these things, I tend to come off a little over the top, and you and I have spoken about this topic, and I don't feel like what you're saying is insane or weird as far as wanting to make sure that everyone has the same thing going. Um, I know that
yeah,
I heard it from a lot of the other artists too. Um,
yeah.
one of the things that on a much more like absurd point, I actually really wanted. I don't think. All right, so a little more pageantry about the actual online presence would have helped me a lot, um,
Right,
because uh, I didn't, even being there, I didn't know who the hell anybody was.
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I
yeah,
didn't know, did this person do this previously? I mean, some of them I was aware of course. I
yeah,
followed a lot of them already, and I made it a point to do my research. But
yeah.
it was really sort of a missed opportunity to show the people watching at home who so and so is. Like just do like a little interview up
Yeah,
front, be like,
I
this is
think
this is
also
so and
like
so, and
coupling up people would have been nice. So,
mm-hmm.
for instance, people like yourself that had just arrived, it's kind of like going, well, here is a person that's in London.
Yeah,
Let's give that. It's like a buddy system kind of vibe a
right,
little bit. Yeah, that would have been
yeah,
a nice gesture, I
yeah.
think, at least.
If someone who would tell
Um,
me to walk on the left side of the road, that that would help.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, yeah. Like you said, like it's a tricky one, because it's like this event has poor old Mark has been up against it the last, I think, 2 times. Like he did the last one from lockdown.
Jesus Christ,
Um,
I can only
so
imagine.
like it ran from people's homes, and then he was trying to like stream it live, I think, and get people to obviously buy tickets. Like it does cost him a little bit of money to do stuff.
Oh yeah,
Um, I don't know what his overheads are on this kind of stuff and all the rest, but he does spend, by the sounds of it, a big portion of his year, organizing all this stuff and going
yeah,
through the rigmarole of trying to convince, um, sponsors to be involved and
Yeah,
whatnot.
shit that none of us would ever actually do. So I'm extremely grateful for
Well,
that. I wouldn't.
yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
I sorry. I didn't mean to speak for everyone listening, but fuck that. Logistics, no.
I've done stuff like this in the past, like for organizations that like I set up. Like I've set up creative spaces and things like that in the past,
Mm-hmm.
and we did live exhibitions with live drawing and competitions and that kind of thing. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of free work basically.
Yeah.
But it's you're not doing it for you don't really do it for the money as such or anything. But this is also back from a time when people weren't trying to necessarily I think it was rarer for people to be trying to make art their maybe full career and do
Mm-hmm.
the like Twitch thing and um, other side of things. Like social media wasn't as big, particularly when I was doing that stuff way back when.
Right.
But yeah, I agree. Yeah, fuck doing that.
I don't know. It
Yeah,
just
it's a
seems
lot
like
of hard work.
an awful lot of work for potentially not a lot of return. And
Oh, absolutely.
I also know that we we of the artsy type tend to be fairly phenomenally difficult to like wrangle and to do things with that require coordination. Like
Yeah.
you and I were sitting around like 5 minutes after the supposed start time, like I should probably do this. Fuck. Buttons, hit
Yeah.
buttons. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like I can't imagine having to be like, well, we have a sponsor who's dumping tens of thousands of dollars into us and letting us use a space. Um, where's all the
Yeah.
artists at? Oh, they're down at the pub still. They were down at the Star of Kings.
Uh,
They were having a couple more,
yeah.
and one of them didn't pay their bill, and I ran out. Like, oh great. You know,
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
there's just a lot of that going on. So, um,
Yeah. Yeah. I
I
don't
also,
know. Like, yeah. Like I said, in overall, I think very good event, but like,
mhm,
yeah, definitely a few things with like clarity in terms of judging and,
yeah,
yeah, definitely trying to figure out a way where expenses are included for artists that are coming in from overseas
right.
would be really good. I think, I think that's only fair, particularly because you guys are taking time out of your lives to do it. Um,
I almost
and
wonder if that would be like a sponsored artist. Like, all right, well, Posca's sending in so and so. Like, oh, geez,
yeah, so like if
like
yeah,
a gladiatorial thing for brands. like,
yeah,
like, oh man, here comes Foster's, here comes Keo. Please don't hit me. Um,
yeah,
you know, just something like that. Uh,
yeah.
also, um, I don't know,
Like
maybe.
I would have been fine with like particularly like now I know you for instance. Like I think there's people coming into town that, um, if I had known ahead of time that they were going to need to go get hotels and stuff like that, if I already have a little bit of a relationship with them previously, I would definitely be like, come and stay at mine.
Right, right,
We'll just figure it out, kind of thing.
yeah,
Um, those are easy ways to just make things happen. And I think that's where that buddy system could be
hmm.
really helpful with that. The other thing I mentioned it to somebody previously, is like the other thing you could do is go, all right, like we got that WhatsApp group of everybody talking,
Mm-hmm.
I think what, like a couple of days before the event.
Yeah,
If that WhatsApp group had started maybe 4 months beforehand,
oh yeah,
people who are booking, um, people who are booking accommodation and stuff, and they're all coming from the US or all coming from out of town,
oh yeah,
you guys can book a bigger place together, be much more affordable. Yeah, you're with strangers, but they're not gonna be strangers for long,
yeah.
and
Or at the very least, you have the option of doing that. You have the option
yeah,
of
yeah.
you know
Like we're
joining
already
up.
talking about like doing more of this stuff with some of the people from there, and I because I knew that there seemed to be such a huge contingent come down from Birmingham, and I've never been to Birmingham,
Yeah,
but I hear it's quite a kind of artsy kind of area. I'm like,
right.
hey, why don't we get like the London kids and whoever else is coming down and going to Birmingham? We all just get a big house there and hang out in that house and do some stuff in Birmingham.
Right. Yeah.
You could easily do that. And it's like, like I'm not a big festivals guy. I'm not a big other things guy. Like art is a cool thing to go kind of to be able to go to a place and just hang out and chill and do art jamming is right up my alley, at least. So
yeah, for sure. That's honestly the biggest thing that I enjoyed about the whole thing was getting to be around to just sort of soak in those those creative vibes, man. Like
totally.
I do gotta admit, after the loss, but it may have just been after all the drama of my trip. I haven't explained it on air, but I will at some point. I didn't feel like drawing anymore. Like,
really?
Like the entire time that I was there. Like I had so many people, like everyone was doing that thing that I love, like handing around their little sketchbooks. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be great. Man, I'm gonna draw on people's things. They're gonna draw on mine. I didn't do any of that. I drew in like Joshua's, and that was it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's probably because I was a little too toasty. But yeah, no, it was a really interesting experience because I got overwhelmed, and I felt better after I went to the art museum, only because I got to see some artists that like I knew, but I also found ones that I didn't know, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. I don't know who that is, and I wrote them down. And I was reading up about them, and I was like, all right, good. I got to be a little art nerd for a little while, and then move on.
Yeah.
But
nice.
It was just odd. All in all, I would say I really love the experience. Honestly, getting knocked out like we discussed after you you were graciously left to your own devices. We discussed it briefly, and it was like, well, we don't now we don't have to worry about it. We can relax.
Yeah.
We're not up on stage anymore, and I can just enjoy the art event.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the night that I came home from our thing, and then I had to do the second day, the Simone Biles one.
Right.
Like, I didn't sleep very well that night, and I'm not used to not sleeping very well. Like, I'm used to not sleeping very well when it's something to do with me, but when it's like an external event, I usually don't give a shit. Like, it shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah.
So I think actually part of it was, it's like, I've just beaten this awesome guy. I got to give this something. I can't just be like turning up and just throwing bullshit together and then losing, because it's like, this guy flew all the way from the US. This guy wanted this.
Yeah. Man, I was rooting hard for it. I was like, I want the guy to beat me up to go all the way.
And I was actually I was like, oh crap, God, I can't screw this up.
You're like, no pressure now, but Steve's gonna be mad now if you don't, like, sorry, I dialed it in.
Yeah.
I drew it.
Those Americans with all their guns. Like.
Yeah. Apparently, I can't even get luggage into London. You don't got to worry about weapons. I can't even get that.
That was an interesting experience for you.
Yeah. I didn't have my luggage.
You're gonna mention later, right?
Yeah. We didn't get our luggage for like 4 days, which was enough time for us to go through the tournament in underwear from some sort of, it wasn't Primark. It was the fucking like
Uniqlo or something.
Something like that. It was TK Maxx, whatever you guys call it.
TK Maxx. Oh wow! All right.
Yeah. I got like I got some irregular clothing, and I got to wear that. It was good.
Yeah, it's all the fun of travel, I guess, in a way as well. Like.
I was like, I want to look like a
fun and annoyance, but I guess you got to kind of roll with the punches sometimes. But yeah, I wouldn't have wanted to have been in your position with that, but
no, that was fun. I like what you're doing there. It's very graphic. Draw a helmet, you jerk.
Yeah, I don't know. My freestyle, like, it's so funny because I don't really intend to draw clean, but I don't know. I guess it's the graphic designer history in me to try and draw clean, and then
Yeah.
things don't come up so clean. You know, you're kind of like playing back and forth with that vibe of what's looking good when you're doing it, right? So
Right.
I love this kind of stuff you do. Like, it's like it's funny because I do one of my ways to beat um, creative block
Hmm.
is to do just shapes
Yeah.
on a page and then just basically give them eyes and then noses
Yeah.
and just build from that.
Yeah.
Um,
I think we all do that.
and I think, well, that's the thing. I don't think everybody does. I think there are some people that really can't handle that type of work. You know, they can't handle loosening up. You know, they have to have things structured every time they draw. And one of the reasons why I got back into doing that is because I think I did get to a point where I was like structuring things out too often.
Right.
So
No,
and also think like drawing like marker style drawing, like this type of drawing reminds me a lot of how I draw with Posketters or paint pens, should I say,
hmm
in my book.
Okay.
Like you just figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about actually I want to talk about our artistic habits because you just
Oh yeah.
touched on something that's a pretty important thing to me. One would be
Mm.
like uh, creativity loosening up games, right? So
Mm.
things where you kind of like how I did when I first started, which was just to draw some little scribbles in the back and just see what I see.
Mm.
Um, do you you mentioned sketchbooks? Do you do a lot of like sketchbooks? You do a lot of concept books?
Yeah, I definitely do a fair few. Uh, I got like I got like two major ones on the trot at the moment,
Mm-hmm.
like this one, which is like the one that I think of all my sketchbooks over history, this one has gotten better. It's like things are cleaner,
Oh, okay.
so it's like
Oh, wow.
every page looks a bit sharper than
Yeah.
just random crap. Like that's a random crap page,
Yeah.
but um,
See, I
you know,
wouldn't call those. I wouldn't call those. Maybe the people at home can't really see this that well because this isn't that high res, but I can see it fairly well.
so you can see
It looks very
like this
finished to me.
type of drawing.
Yeah.
I'm drawing this to find the structure, and then I
Mm-hmm.
bring that particular drawing into the computer, and then I can duplicate elements
Yeah.
out.
I
But
got you.
I've gotten to a point where it's like, particularly, I got so proud of this book that I started just wanting to complete stuff. So
Mm.
it's like towards the end here, you can start to see.
It just becomes a body
There
of
we
work
go.
instead of a sketchbook.
Probably about probably about from here onwards. It's
Mm-hmm.
like every page
Oh
starts
yeah.
to get really full.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh man.
so
Oh, I saw those
that's those shapes.
on your Instagram. Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
chuck a bunch of shapes on a page, and
Yeah.
then you
But
just find faces or
yeah, a bunch of
whatever.
silhouettes. Do you
Um,
when you do stuff like that, do you see them or do you try to design them initially as a silhouette, or do you see it as like
well, Here's one I started
sections?
yesterday.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can see the shapes there, but
Let me see. Okay.
so I wanted to do
Yeah.
a little bit less faces in this one.
Mm-hmm.
I've got like some like building things. I got like a boat with a cloud going on.
Okay. Yeah.
This one's like a doorway and
Yeah.
stuff.
You, you do a lot of
So
orthographic things. You do a lot of isometric. Yeah. A lot of that like.
yeah,
Oh,
I
that's
got
cool.
really interested in. So one of the reasons why I've done all these like characters and
Yeah.
stuff is the idea is that I'm trying to. I don't know. I feel like every artist has a comic book in them.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like
All right.
everybody I come across, I feel like everybody's got a little bit of an idea of a universe they're trying to create.
Mm. Okay.
The more I draw, the more people I come across, particularly as I've gotten older. I feel like people are starting to realize more and more they want to do a bit of everything. They want to do if they're doing characters, they're doing characters for this bigger world, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as to whether it gets there, they don't know.
Yeah.
And I think I'm exactly the same. I did the isometric things because I was sick of being constantly compared to everybody else in the graffiti game, like in the street art game, and people going, "Oh, you're doing the same stuff as somebody else," when it wasn't my intention or
Right.
whatnot. And then, so one thing that I noticed that there was a bit of a gap was that nobody's doing like graphic designy isometric iconography, and so
Sure.
I'm like, well, I should do some of that, you
Yeah.
know, like, oh, I'll do some of that stuff, you know, I'll even start painting it on walls before anybody else. And then that way, hopefully I become the isometric guy.
Yeah.
um,
I'm gonna draw the inside of this and then the bones and the organs. No, wait. I'm gonna draw. No, wait. I'm gonna maybe. Buddy, go. It's okay, bud. Go lay down. Sorry, my pup is noisy as shit right now.
that's okay.
Emery says the artwork's looking good, man. And
Thanks, man.
as we know from how badass his stuff was, that's a hell of a compliment. Good lord.
Yeah, his stuff's all right.
He's okay. Yeah. We are the competitive assholes. That's what we're doing now.
That's right.
We're just being
That's right.
judgy.
I'm better than all of you.
Yeah.
Better than all of you.
I only
I win
invited.
at art. I win at art.
I
You know that subjective thing that you thought you were good at?
yeah. No. Yeah, that thing that you used to do to comfort yourself when you felt alone.
Yeah.
No.
That's
no.
all about the money now.
Yeah. We are ranking this on a tiered system. I am really glad to be number 16 out of however many we got. Probably 16.
Yeah. You were number 16 in the world. That was
Yes.
the Illustrated World Series.
Yes, I saw that.
You're number 16. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
I
And you weren't really number 16.
no.
Like there were 16 people.
Yeah.
So you were number 9.
Yeah, that's true because out of 1 divided by 2 divided by 2. Hold on, carry the 1. Yeah, no. I'm number 9 in the fucking world, you guys. To any of my clients who are watching, my prices just went the fuck up. Like way
Yeah,
up.
totally.
like at a 0.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know that wedding invite that you got coming? Put a lien on that initial house, baby. This is happening.
Yeah, that's right. Cancel your honeymoon
Yeah.
because that money should be mine now. Yeah.
Yeah, that tattoo that we had lined up for next weekend. Pop a 0. You're gonna have a hard time paying for this.
I actually like legit. I actually wish artists would do that more often. I wish artists would like just like go, you know what? Fuck it. This month I'm worth twice as much. I'm gonna just test.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna test this out this month. I'm gonna try it out and see if I'm worth. Because the thing is, if you're worth twice as much, you only have to do half the amount of work that you did last month, right? To get the same amount of money.
Oh, it's not entrepreneurship; it's laziness. I understand.
Nah, yeah,
Or
a little bit of both.
efficiency. You can call it efficiency.
Efficiency, yeah.
Yeah, and that is a fair point.
I don't know. I think also it's like, I met a lot of people where it's like it's just art that they've kind of concentrated on. Like they've come through art schools and stuff like that. I came from graphic design, so
Okay.
I feel like in the graphic design schools, they tend to teach you a bit more like you got to get paid. You know, get paid for this. You know,
this is a job.
Whereas, no, don't get me wrong, we still don't get paid enough.
No, of course
But
not.
you got to get paid, you know.
Well, why would I pay for a logo? That's stupid. People are dumb. I hate that. All you did was put text down. All you did.
Yeah. All right. Well, if that's all I did, you can do it, right?
Yeah.
You can do it.
Yeah.
Just download Medibang.
Yeah.
Give it a good crack.
It's free. There's a trial.
There's a trial. Yeah, just
Yeah,
for you.
yeah. We use the trial. It's fine. I mean, unless you're at home, then you can use the full version on your computer. Anyway,
That's
yeah, it's pretty great.
right.
we're
You're
we're
really selling it. I love it.
we're in trouble, buddy. We're gonna get in trouble.
Uh, nah, it's fine.
No one watches this.
People love honesty.
Is is that what they say now?
Honesty is the name of the day, name of the game.
Yeah, I thought it was schmoozing. Schmoozing is the name.
Schmoozing.
Schmoozing. Yeah. All right. Well, all right. I would like to hear you hawk some of your stuff, please. I would like you to tell me about your things. You know, you have obviously mentioned that you do some of the AR stuff.
Yeah.
Do you post more on? I mean, obviously you post on Instagram. Is that the primary way that people can look at things and get a hold of you?
Oh, yeah. The Instagram's pretty good for seeing like I guess semi-regular
Yeah.
stuff for me. I get kind of it. I tend to accidentally find myself busy every so often, and then the old Instagram feed suffers. But in terms of getting in contact with me, if you
Yeah.
actually want some of my work,
Yeah.
you can go to my website, which is just keomatch.com.
KMX.com. Okay.
Or alternatively, you can go to my Instagram, and then the links are there in that link tree business. If you wanna buy some AR trading cards or
I do.
art prints or whatnot. I actually have plans to hopefully, and I'll be hopefully speaking to you about this at some point. Is I'm thinking about doing a collaborative I mean trading card series with like other artists.
Yeah, man. I'm in.
So,
That'd be fun.
yeah,
I love
yeah.
I love
So it'd be
animation.
kind of like
You know.
a case of like, we'd talk about how it would work. I haven't
Yeah.
really thought about it too heavily just yet, but
Yeah.
the idea would be that illustrations done
Emery,
by the
don't make
artist,
a
then me
highlight,
adding
you
a bit of
asshole.
animation, back
Sorry.
and forth.
Apparently, Emery made a highlight of our shit talking. Great.
Ah,
Thanks, buddy.
awesome, perfect.
There's no letting that go away.
Yep.
All right, so people can get a hold of you. I can get a hold of you at keomatch.com or on your Instagram at keomatch.
Yeah.
I'm at a point where I'm going to be stopping the stream here in a few minutes. If you want to tighten up and just finish off the little things you want to get done.
Ugh.
If there's anything else.
Always rushing me, man. Always
Yeah.
rushing me.
You got
Every
1
time
hour.
I draw
1
with
hour.
you, always rushing me.
This is the 1 hour point.
You can't rush perfection, mate.
I know.
Or can you? Maybe you can, actually.
I seeing as I've yet to witness that with me, pretty sure I got you. I understand.
Right.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like this fill
Ooh.
tool better than the Medibang one. Ooh.
Yeah, these people are just gonna be super mad with all the shit we're talking. This is great.
I don't care. The event's already over.
Yeah, we don't gotta worry about the opinions of the Medibang people because they weren't a sponsor.
Exactly.
Just some fucking
They should
dudes.
be. They should be counting their lucky stars, mate.
Now,
They
stars
got to
stars
have.
require a proper polygon tool, um, in order to draw. This would be like count your lucky bad palm recognition. I don't really
I
know.
think also it'd be really nice if their tutorials online for any of the imagery of the tutorials online, if they could change it from being Japanese interface to English interface, especially on the English tutorials. That'd be really handy.
Yeah, that would.
It'd be really handy for me to actually identify what the hell's going on.
Yeah, I liked the fact that on my Android version, it, or yeah, because I loaded the Android version onto my phone, and somehow you're trying to see that, be like, is that closer? Apparently the the language in there got stuck at Japanese as well. So I could follow along with the things, but I had no idea the fuck it was doing. Imri is talking shit about Medibang in the chat. I will show you how to see all of that later. Anyway, I think we're at a good point here. I'm going to stop drawing.
Oh, there's a KeoMatch.com at the bottom there. Should just make that big on my screen, right? Does that help?
It doesn't move anything around on your screen, sadly. But what I'll do...
Oh, now it's EO Match.
Good old EO Match.
Good old EO Match.
So I'm going to do this. Move this here. Wop, 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 wop.
Looks good, man. This actually came out pretty nice.
What a well done doodle. Yeah, we have spent an hour talking, or hour and a half talking. I'm gonna save this really quick. Where do I put it? Desktop. Not BuzzFeed stuff. Maybe BuzzFeed stuff. I don't know.
Well, I'm not unhappy with it. It looks pretty cool.
No? Alright, well, you will be. Let me see how I can put this at the end of the show. Anything else you want to say? Anything else you want to...
Thanks for having me on, Steve. Love you.
God damn it. I love you too, buddy. It's great.
Oh.
All right. I'm gonna hit this button in a moment to make this.
Say hi to Claney for me.
I will. She is. Honestly, we both enjoyed hanging out so much.
Yeah, and you're always welcome to hit me up whenever you're here.
Yeah, man.
Because I'll be hitting you up whenever I'm in Orlando, Florida.
Oh, I know you will. I figured that one out. We're all gonna hang out. It's gonna be great. And yeah, that actually worked. All right, I'm gonna hit the transition thing.
Okay, man.
Thanks for joining me. We can stick around and talk on this for a few more minutes if you want, but this is gonna go to a thing which is done, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks. And remember, everyone, you are loved. All that nonsense.